All right, YouTube, March manuscript number 2 has been completed. Technically, 3 has been too, but it's got a process, so it'll be a couple days before I announce it. Against Communism, it's very short, only 36 pages in length, and some people have criticized me, link in the description, by the way, to this work and my books blog. A couple people were like, oh, why don't you take these works and wrap them up and make a longer work instead? And also, why aren't these cheaper? Well, to your first point, it'd be kind of hard to reconcile these different topics. It would require a significant additional amount of writing. I like these shorter works. I like writing them, and I also like reading them. Works that are of this length on single topics that are perhaps they're quite in depth, but it's literally a single topic with a couple of auxiliary components. I like that sort of writing, and because I like it, I tend to do that sort of writing from time to time too. Most of my works are still edited. Some of my works are full length, Fruits of Eden, Psychedelic Spirituality, After the Ashes, Sickness and Hell, but I also want to write some of these shorter works. It's just the way I am. To your second point, why can't I drop the cost below, I think it's like $5.50, even for quite a short work? Amazon won't let me. That's the minimum cost listing. I can't drop it any lower than that. This particular work is in regards to the failures of communism as we witness history. Stalinism taking off from that sort of stateless Marxism utopian stuff, and then, killing tens of millions of people. Mao doing the same thing, Pol Pot trying to. He doesn't manage to hit the 10 million mark, but he does manage to plunge his entire nation into total darkness for, decades at a time. We can observe history and see communism failing over and over. We can also refute communism on a scientific basis, which is that competition is something that humans do. Animals compete, plants compete, everything competes for resources, everything competes for mates. Communism ignores this fact, and the reason that it ignores it is because of Marx's own beliefs at the time that his manifesto was written. Marx was born too early to realize that this was biological reality. He was born too early to understand that. He was also born too early to realize that his principle, his most central principle, which is that early man was communal in nature, that there was no private ownership, no competition, people just sort of operated as this hedonistic tribe and they shared everything, is utterly false. If we look at archaeological remnants, we see organization well beyond the communal in very early man. We can go back even to hominids other than the Homo sapiens lineage, like the Neanderthals, and we can see evidence of private ownership there too. If you bury somebody with something, the presumption is that this is something unique that they have owned and used in their lifetime. We would reflect this throughout archaeology, generally speaking. Or it's some sort of offering to a god, or in which case you're getting primitive theocracy, perhaps, more than you're getting any form of communalism. Further, when we observe what they would interpret as communalism, we're actually looking at tribalism. We're looking at an extended genetic lineage, with or without immigration and emigration. We're looking at an extended familial lineage. A family, you get the nuclear family and all of their various cousins and nieces and nephews, and for several generations living together in what amounts to an early Copper Age proto-state or something like that. And they're related. It's a primitive form of national tribalism, or maybe primitivism, as opposed to anything that's really communism, Marxism, communalism, whatever friendly term you want to slap on a violent ideology. Now, for part of this work, I dwell on the moral aspect. But that's secondary, because the history of communism's repeated failures is more important, and biological reality flying in the face that everything Marx suggested is also more important. This particular work is 36 pages long, which is that I kept it short because it's a single issue. When I write, unlike some people, I don't like to throw in hundreds of pages of filler to make a few actual pertinent points. I prefer to keep it terse. Again, that's sort of just the way that I do things. I do like the formal language, which extends it a little bit, but at the same time, I'm more interested in keeping it to the point. I didn't want to throw in a chapter on, here, let me analyze Karl Marx's favorite foods, and this is evidence of something. I just don't do that within my work. Sometimes people have criticized me for that too, but it's just the way that I write. I'm not going to throw in a bunch of filler. In some cases, this helps me keep the cost down because, like I said many times, as far as the edited works go, what I'm really trying to do is offer people inexpensive editions that are still usable and not facsimiles. When it comes to things that I write myself, it's a little bit different, but I prefer to offer them at a low enough cost for people anyway. But I can't decline it beyond $5.50 because that is the minimum cost. Actually, I think it's $5.38. $5.38 is the minimum U.S. listing cost. But I wanted to round it up to the nearest 50-cent mark. So sue me for that. That extra 12 cents matters a lot, I suppose. But I was pleased with the outcome of this work. And the next one to come down the pipeline is against corporate media. And I'm working on 2 additional works as well, one on resisting propaganda. Another one extends human development and biology and some of these evolutionary concepts to the extraterrestrial. That's more of a weird work. Fewer people, I'm assuming, would be interested in, but some people have asked me for work on extraterrestrials for some time. It's time to give them some sort of manuscript too to potentially read. So yeah, link in the description to this particular edition on Amazon, of course. Second link to my books blog. If you're into works that I've written quite a few of them. I've also got, I believe, a little bit over 100 edited works now as well that are available for sale on everything from grimoires like the dark magic side to alchemy to the academic side of the paranormal and the occult, some psychic works, herbals, things of that nature. My interest in occult literature is quite eclectic. Basically, if it has anything to do with magic at all or anything associated with magic, I'm on board. If it's out of copyright and there's no other good edition of it, that is something that's not either massively jacked up in price or it's a crappy facsimile, yeah, I'll release an edition of it. Just give me enough time to do so. That's about all. Peace out.